What's going on, everyone? LA Sports back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over the 2 days worth of practices between the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants, as there were tons of fireworks over the course of the 2 days. Good news and bad news. I'm going to be recapping it all for the New York Giants, as today there was a fight, which you could look at it as a good thing and a bad thing. This time, though, folks, it was between one player from the Giants and one player from the Browns, so it wasn't a brawl within the team. But in this video, I'm going to be going over all the progressions from the New York Giants over the past 2 days and all that good stuff. But before I start, guys, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Let's get started in the video. Alright, guys, so a good thing to take from these practices, of course, is that the New York Giants came out of it healthy. That's the most important thing. There were no injuries for the Giants, nothing of that nature, so that's the most important thing to begin with. But we're going to start off with yesterday's practice. Daniel Jones looked very, very good from what we were hearing. He was throwing touchdowns all over the place. He looked good. But Kevin Stefanski and Joe Judge, they both agreed on no serious contact. So there's not going to be sacks. There's not going to be big tackles. So they weren't going to kill each other. That's something to take. But Daniel Jones looked very good. The offensive line looked very good. Andrew Thomas and Will Hernandez were terrific. It looks like those two guys are really, really improving, and that very well could be the New York Giants starting left side on that offensive line. We all know Andrew Thomas is probably going to be the left tackle, and there's a pretty good chance that Will Hernandez is the left guard. Another good thing to take from this is that Saquon Barkley looked terrific. He was off to the side on the sidelines doing individual drills, and Joe Judge wouldn't really say whether or not he would participate in next week's festivities with the New England Patriots, as there's another joint practice. I'm sure he will get an increased role. I can't see him yet, especially if there's going to be contact in next week's practice, although I don't think there will be. I think Bill Belichick and Joe Judge will agree on no serious contact, but I'm sure Saquon will take a bigger role. But he did look very good. He looks closer and closer to return, and if I had to put my money on it, I think he's going to play in week 1. We don't know what kind of role he's going to have. He might, be very limited. He might be a little bit limited, but I do think Saquon is going to be a go come week 1. But as for yesterday's practice, that's really it. Good thing that the Giants came out healthy from both these practices. Azeez Ojulari, of course, there's no sacks, but had there been sacks, Azeez Ojulari was going to sack Baker Mayfield. He also forced Jedrick Wills to get a holding penalty. So he was really on the attack, Azeez Ojulari on that edge. Of course, the New York Giants' second-round pick, who a lot of people thought was a first-round pick. So great news on him for that defensive line. We all know how important that edge position is in the NFL these days, and that the New York Giants, they didn't have a pure edge rusher. Other news on the defense: Lorenzo Carter looks to be progressing very well, and as a New York Giant fan, I'm excited to see what is going to happen with him. So we'll have to see. I think he's going to have a comeback year. I think he's going to be a very, very important piece to the New York Giants defense, and I think he's going to be good and up for the challenge. But that's all for yesterday's practice. I think what to take from it was it's good. There's a lot of people progressing, a lot of good signs for the Giants. So overall, a very, very, very good practice from yesterday. As for today's practice, it was the final practice before Sunday's 1 o'clock Week 2 preseason game. I'll have a preview for that game probably at some point tomorrow. But as for today's practice, more encouraging signs. Again, the Giants got out of it healthy, which is the most important thing. Players progressing, but there was a fight between Sterling Shepard, the New York Giants wide receiver, who is up for a big season. He fought the Cleveland Browns defensive back, Troy Hill. And from the pictures that we saw, Shepard dodged a couple punches. And, both teams were kind of trying to hold each other back. But, you could look at it in a couple ways. There's some feistiness in Sterling Shepard and a big will to win, but at the same time, you don't want your players fighting other players. So I think you could look at it in two different ways. But as for, a lot of people are worried that Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay are not, getting action, and they're not getting on the field. But at the end of the day, they're just taking these guys with caution. These two players are huge pieces to not only the offense, but the entire team, because, we all know how important the offense is to the New York Giants. So I think the Giants are just taking these, two injuries very, very cautious, especially Kenny Golladay, who's coming off, you know how the hamstring works, and he came off injuries prior in his career. So I think the Giants are just trying to take this injury very, very precautionary, and I think he's going to be ready for Week 1, as will Kadarius Toney. But as for today's practice, other than the fight, not too many crazy things. I think it was just kind of a good practice. I think, lots of exciting, progression for the New York Giants. And that's the most important thing, with no injuries. So I think, the New York Giants are doing everything very, very well. And I think, they're going to have a pretty good rest of the, I guess you could say off-season or training camp. The final 3 preseason games, but I think great signs for the New York Giants. The 5, O-linemen who, we kind of think the starters are going to be, they look to be progressing in the right direction. Azeez Ojulari looks very good. Daniel Jones looks very good. Saquon Barkley looks like he's progressing. So that's all good stuff for the Giants, as well as staying healthy. So overall, over the course of these 2 practices, I think there's a lot to take from it. I think there's exciting things ahead for the New York Giants. And I think that it's all good news out of Cleveland as the New York Giants get prepared for their Sunday 1 o'clock Eastern matchup. Stay tuned for my video probably tomorrow previewing that second preseason game. And as always, please leave a like on the video. Comment down below what you think about these 2 joint practices. Let me know what you think about the fight and the progression of the New York Giants, all that good stuff. As always, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new. We'll see you guys in the next video.